Welcome to Learning English with Captain Binoy Varakil, Assistant Professor, Department of English, St. Joseph's College, Devagiri, Kozhikode, Kerala. Today we discuss a wonderful poem by Maya Angelou. This poem is taken from A02 Ways with Words, the common course of English prescribed for the students of the colleges of University of Calicut. As we all know, Maya Angelou is a poet who is very famous, and she has written a lot of wonderful books. And now we are having a reading of the autobiographical details of Maya Angelou from the very course book itself. Maya Angelou was born on April 4, 1928 as Margaret Ann Johnson in St. Louis, Missouri, United States of America. She has a career that spans a wide range of professions as an author, poet, historian, civil rights activist, producer, director, singer, and dancer. She has written 7 autobiographies and several volumes of poetry. She was a spokesperson for the blacks and women. 2 of her most loved poems are Phenomenal Women and Still I Rise. These poems depict an image of a universal woman who is a paragon of strength and pride. Angelou was strongly attracted to the notion of rising, and hence the word rise is repeated 10 times in the latter poem. She was the first black woman poet to read her poem on the pulse of morning at the inauguration of President Bill Clinton in 1993, which intensified her popularity. Before her, the only other American poet who had read an inauguration poem was Robert Frost at the swearing-in ceremony of John F. Kennedy. Angelou's most famous autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings of 1969, describes a shattering moment in her life. When she was just 7 years old, she was raped by her mother's friend. Shocked to hear that the rapist was murdered, the young girl held herself responsible for the death, feeling guilty. She refused to speak for 5 years. During this period of silence, she read all the classics and black writings available in the library. As civil rights activist, Angelou worked with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, who inspired her greatly. On the Pulse of the Morning is a poem that echoes Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous I Have a Dream speech. Most of Angelou's works discuss themes such as identity, family, racism, and gender, and many of these works have been prescribed in the schools and universities internationally. Reviewer L.C.B. Washington has called her the Black Woman's Poet Laureate, and Angelou's poetry as the anthems of African Americans. Speech, writing, and songs were interwoven disciplines for her. She could hold an audience spellbound with her sharp wit and humor and vibrant poetry. Many of her statements have become quotable chords. Try to be a rainbow in someone's cloud. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. The truth is, none of us can be free until everybody is free. Maya Angelou was nominated for the National Booker Award in 1970 and for the Pulitzer Prize in 1971. She has also received innumerable awards and honors and over 30 honorary degrees. She firmly believed that the honorary duty of a human being is to love. The literary voice revered globally of her poetic command and her commitment to civil rights fell silent on 20th May 2014. The poem Old Folks Love humanly sketches the physical and mental features of old people. They no longer practice decorum and hypocritical politeness. Hence their lips and brows are free of strain. Instead, they allow their bellies to shake rhythmically like a tambourine, celebrating their laughter. Waves of laughter rise and fall since they are free from social pretensions. Their laughter is an act of liberation. The weakness of old age, such as dribbling and slow movements and inability to hold their heads steadily, are countered by precious loving memories they hold on their laps. Death is most welcome and they wish to embrace it. Laughter is a magnanimous gesture by which the old folks forgive the world, which has subjected them to all kinds of miseries. Laughter, according to Angelou, could be a survival apparatus by which the individual musters up the stamina to live. The stereotypical image of old age is overcome by the transcending laughter of the old folks and their condescending worldview. The poem employs free verse and run-on lines, enjambment. The use of free verse and run-on lines perfectly suits the content of the poem. The old folks have triumphed over the rigidities of life. Their movements are slow and seem to be unending. Their laughter also has a run-on quality. Now let's come to the wonderful poem Old Folks Laugh. Let's recite it and afterwards let's just discuss and understand the questions and answers from the course Way with Words. Old folks laughed. They have spent their content of simpering, holding their lips with this and that way, winding the lines between their brows. Old folks allow their bellies to jiggle like slow tambourines. The haulers rise up and spill over any way they want. When old folks laugh, they free the world. They turn slowly, slyly, knowing the best and the worst of remembering. Saliva glistens in the corners of their mouths. Their heads wobble on brittle necks, but their laps are filled with memories. When old folks laugh, they consider the promise of dear painless death and generously forgive life for happening to them. So this wonderful poem, Old Folks Laugh, is a celebration of old age on one side, and another aspect of the poem is that it is the physical and mental feature of old people. So as we all know, old people have lived their life. They had a lot of experiences. They experienced what is being a child, what is being a boy, a girl, an adult, a youth, a middle-aged man or woman. Then they know what is, of course, the life of an old man and or an old woman. And now that they have lived all they have undergone all these experiences, they can look at life with some kind of dispassion. They are not at all passionate about life. They are satisfied, very satisfied, and they know the reality of life. They don't have any complaints. They have a lot of joyful memories, sorrowful memories. They succeeded, they failed, they have mixed feelings. And now in old age, they are ready to die, and they don't have any tension, fear or anything. And they just laugh without any inhibition, fear or tension. And when they laugh, they liberate the world. So let's look at the poem line by line. As we read, it is of course written in the run-on lines. Run-on lines are known as enjambment, and enjambment or run-on lines is the quality of the poem. So no, from line 1 to line 2, there is no stopping as such. It continues. There is a flow, the flowing of one line to the other line, the continuation of one line to another line without any break or punctuation or juncture or pause is what is known as juncture. And now let's look at the poem. They have spent their life content of simpering, holding their lips this and that way, winding the lines between their brows. So this is about the old people. Old people have spent their content of simpering. Simpering means emotionless smile. So old men and women, they have spent their satisfaction. They are satisfied and content, and they smile or laugh emotionlessly. Okay, their smile is just a passive, dispassionate, emotionless smile, and when they smile, they can hold their lips the way they like, or rather they don't care which way their lips go. Maybe their lips just twitch to the left or right or up and down. So and on their faces we can see some winding the lines between their brows. So there are wrinkles on their face, and they can just roll the skin of their brow, and that rolling of the skin of the brow is mentioned here. When they smile and emotionally smile, satisfied of their life, can see the movement of the lips, see the zigzagging of the wrinkles of their face, and old folks allow their bellies to jiggle like slow tambourines. They laugh freely, and as they laugh, you can see the movement of their body. They just shake like a tambourine. Rather, their bellies, their stomachs, their tummies just jingle or jiggle like tambourines. And we know the sound of the jingling sound of the tambourines. All right, as we maybe when we sing, or maybe when we just participate in a carol song or any such celebration time, we depend on the tambourine. We shake the tambourine. As the tambourine is shaking, the bells on the edge of the circular tambourine is just shaking up and down. Similarly, the stomach and the entire body, even the loose skin of the cheek and the very wrinkles on the face of the old people just move up and down. And it is in fact a good comparison. Here we have a simile here. Old folks allow their bellies to jiggle like a tambourine. And now they, as they laugh or smile, they freely do that, right? They laugh freely, smile freely, no botherations, and completely relaxed kind of laughter. And their laughter is hollows. The hollows rise up and spill over any way they want. They laugh freely, no control on the voice, the loudness, the highness, or they will laugh the way it comes. No, they don't think they don't think about who is going to hear it. So the hollows rise up and spill over any way they want. So as you pour milk or water into a cup or mug or a bucket, it can overflow, and you decide how much milk should overflow. Normally, of course, you stop when it is full, the milk reaches the edge of the mug or glass or bucket, you stop. Similarly here, now they don't care how much loudly they laughed, and often their laughter is just like the overflowing of a container. So it overflows, lot of voice, lot of movements, lot of wrinkled skin movement, tummy movement, and it is just like an overflow. It's just like an overflow, incessant, continual overflow. Their laughter, the hollers, the laughter rise up and spill over any way they want. When old folks laugh, they free the world. This is another very important. They free the world. The world, we know the world. Today's world is under stress and strain and tension, worry, depression, suppression, everything. But these people, when you are beside an old man, a grandpa, grandma, great-grandpa, great-grandma, you feel that, life is so cool and comfortable, and because they speak a lot, they smile as they speak, they laugh as they speak, and you see that, oh, this is wonderful. Yeah, these people, through their conversation, through their smiles and laughs, free the world. And we forget when we are beside our grandparents or great-grandparents or an old man or an old woman, we forget everything because they laugh freely, and along with them we can also laugh, and we just go for hilarious kind of laughter in which we just jiggle like slow tambourines along with them. The hollers rise up and spill over any way they want. When old folks laugh, they free the world. They turn slowly, slyly, knowing the best and the worst of remembering. Now this is about the movement of the old people. Maybe they are slow in their movement because they are old, and maybe they suffer from disease, right? Okay, they can suffer from different problems, like they're not agile and strong, and their movements are not very fast like the movement of young people, but their movements are slow because they may depend on a walking stick. They may need somebody, maybe a walker, maybe they need the help of someone, a second person or a third person, and they turn slowly, slyly, knowing the best and worst of remembering. So they remember everything. They can remember everything in the sense that remember a lot of things from their life as young people, like from a lot of memories from their childhood days, from boyhood days, youthful days, adulthood days, bringing up their kids, just working, okay, failures, success, right? So the best and worst of remembering. What is the best and worst of remembering? The best and worst of remembering refers to you remember a lot of things, and the best of remembering is when you remember joyful things, good things, you have joy and happiness, you remember everything, and you are again very, very satisfied and happy about that. Worst of remembering, sometimes when you remember see sorrowful things, things like maybe the loss of a friend, loss of someone in your family, maybe a failure or an accident, or sometime you had some sickness or some painful experience, you are sad about that. So they have mixed emotions and feelings and memories, joyful and of course sorrowful. So the best and worst of remembering. Alright, so they turn slowly and slyly, knowing the best and worst of remembering. And slyly means they have a secret knowledge of life. Secret knowledge of life, like they know, yeah, I have seen my life, I know what life is, all this will pass, maybe you succeed, maybe you fail, maybe you have a lot of joy, maybe you cry. I know this is life, but after all, yeah, life is just a passage of time, and this is nothing. Okay, it will move. It doesn't matter whether you succeed or you fail. Yes, because all this is just transient. They know the reality of life. The reality of life is that there isn't anything big about it. It is just we come here, we go from here, and all this is just a drama. This is just a stage. We are just actors, right? So out of that profound idea of the reality of life, they can just smile at or laugh at everything. And saliva, so when they smile, saliva glistens, right? The liquid from the mouth is just shining on the corners of their mouth, because maybe they can't control their body completely. Maybe they don't have control over. They are just vibrating or trembling, and they couldn't be very careful. Maybe they just fall, and likewise they cannot just control the flow of saliva. Saliva shines in the corners of their mouths. Their heads wobble. So maybe when they talk, they just move their heads. Maybe they just tend to the right and the left, and so their heads wobble. Wobbling is unsteady movement from side to side. So they could be just they do not know what they do with the limbs, their head, right? So their heads wobble, unsteady movements are wobbling. On brittlenecks, brittlenecks refers to the as we become older and older, our bones become hard and it is fragile, and you fall down, you break. So their heads move on brittlenecks. The bones of the necks of the old people are hard and fragile, and their heads just move unsteadily on their necks, but their laps are filled with memories, right? So although their heads wobble on brittle necks, their laps are full of memories. So it's a truth, right? So we know that the laps of old people are full of memories, lot of memories about life, and when old folks laugh, they consider the promise of dear painless death and generously forgive life for happening to them. So these people, old people, when they are in their old age, they forgive life for happening to them. Whatever happened in life, all the wonderful things, all the painful things, joyful things, those moments of success and failure, okay, this is life, I accept it. So they have that acceptance of life, right? So they forgive life for happening to them. Yes, they forgive everything, forget everything. They have a kind of affection for death, because I have heard a lot of people say, please pray that I may have a quick death. I don't want to live anymore. I wish if God calls me. Sometimes they even say they are fed up with life, right? Fed up with life with not a kind of anger or anything. They do not want to live anymore. They have seen the life enough, and so they like death. Maybe they are eagerly waiting for death to come, like a young man waiting for his beloved. So the kind of attitude young, old people have towards death is like maybe death is a companion, death is a lover, death is a gentleman caller, like in the poems of the American poet. It is a gentleman caller. You like death, let it come. You are happy if death comes. So here you have something like of when old folks laugh, they consider the promise of dear painless death. So death is a promise, and the promise of death is a painless one. It is painless because when you are reluctant to die, when you are afraid of death, death is not, of course, painless. Death is painful. But here, old people ready to die anytime. Yeah, now I'm ready. And death is, when death comes, they accept it with satisfaction, with a smile. Yeah, they can smile even, and hence we have the contradictory idea that dear painless death, dear painless death. Okay, so it's in fact a paradox. Death is the end of life and often widely held to be an enemy of man. Here it is described as dear to suggest some form of affection for that which will finally offer rest. So you have lived your life, toiled your life, you worked a lot, you worked hard, and now you're going to rest forever. So death is a companion of and here you have paradox. This is something like opposite ideas. Dear, painless death. Death is painful often, but here it is compared as it is painless in the sense that to them it is painless, but what about the others? Maybe everyone in the family are sad and they have pain when their grandpa die or grandma die, and it's painful to them, but it is painless to the person who died. So it's a wonderful poem which is about old age, celebration of old age, celebration of life, and again celebration of how the old people look at death and old age. Okay, now let's look at the questions and answers of the poem. What is the shake of the bellies of the old people compared to the shake of the bellies of the old people is compared to tambourines, the jiggling of tambourines. We have this in stanza 1. Old folks allow their bellies to jiggle like tambourines. Now we come to the next question. Name the most popular autobiography of Maya Angelou. The most popular autobiography of Maya Angelou is I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings. Next question. Complete the line. When old folks laugh, they free the world. When old folks laugh, they free the world. When old folks laugh, they consider the promise of dear painless death and generously forgive life for happening to them. The laps of the old people are filled with dash. The laps of the old people are filled with memories. What do you mean by hollers? Hollers refers to the loud shouts of the old people without any inhibition, totally free, relaxed, cool, loud laughter of old people is hollers. Now we have the short questions answering 1 or 2 sentences. What does the poet mean when she uses the word simpering? Simpering refers to the emotionless smiles of old people. So old people are content and satisfied. They are detached from the emotions and they smile emotionless smiles, and refers to, of course, the attitude of old people to life. Maybe they have something joyful, painful, or a feeling of loss or anything. Any experience they can smile at. They can smile at any experience or any emotion, and that is referred to here as simpering. The content of the content or the satisfaction. Okay, and as now you are satisfied and you have no dominating emotions, so very, very relaxed and cool smile of the old people is simpering. Why are the old folks able to forgive life? So these people, old people, have triumphed over life, and they have triumphed over the rigidities of life. Life is of mixed experience, of failure. You have success, joy, sorrow, feeling of loss, feeling of gain, happiness, right? And all this they have. And now that they have triumphed over all the rigidities of life, they can just forgive life. Yes, I forget everything. I forgive everything. Now I'm just going to leave this world. I'm going to die. Why should I keep a lot of bad feelings with me? I have only positivity. I have no grudge, no rivalry, no enmity. I have only good feelings with me. So they can easily forgive life. Now, what is the best and worst of remembering? The best and worst of remembering is joy and pain. You remember the good things, you have joy. Remember the painful things, maybe you have some sorrow or pain. So the best and worst of remembering is different emotions and experiences and joy or sorrow. Why does the poet use run-on lines for the poem? Run-on lines refers to the unending continuity of life. Life is continuous, and old people, they have a lot of continuous memory. There is, of course, a flow of lot of memories, and yes, that continuity or the incessant aspect of life is continuous, right? You are born, you live life here. It's movement, right? The beat of the heart is continuous, right? Similarly, the rhythm of life is continuous. You are born, you live, you grow up, you die. Even after death, you have a life. So it continues. Life continues. Nothing ends. Just like the solar system, the orbit of the planets, which is a continuous process. Life is also a continuous process, and in order to show the continuity, the poet is using run-on lines, okay, and that is one of the aspects of the poem. So we have free verse here, and that shows the very free and relaxed mental disposition of the old people. Again, explain briefly the comparison made about the bellies, right? The laughter of the old people is compared to the jiggling of tambourines, and it is in fact a wonderful comparison. It's true, because old people, they have no tension, no strain, no worry, totally relaxed and cool, and they laugh without any restriction or inhibition or fear. And as they laugh, their body is just shaking like the bells of a tambourine. The bellies just jiggle, the cheek, the skin of the cheek, everything, the lips, and you can see even drops of saliva just shining on the corners of their mouth. Wonderful. Okay, so it is about the total relaxed condition of the old people. Answer the following questions in a paragraph not exceeding 100 words. What images of aging do you see in this poem? So we have a lot of images of aging in this poem. Say, for example, the images of aging. Aging is noted for the wrinkling of the skin. So the old people, they have a lot of wrinkles, and again they have they laugh without any tension or worry, and their bellies just jiggle like tambourines, and it's again, right? So maybe they cannot control their senses, totally relaxed, and then again we can see they have a lot of memories, the flow of memories we have in old age, and that is again another lot of memories, right? Then again we have the wobbling of the body or head of the old people. That is again, they just can't control or balance themselves, right? And again we have brittlenecks. Brittlenecks is again another image, and we have the lap of the old people, and lap of the old people is full of memory. That's again a big effective image. So this wonderful poem is a celebration of aging, lot of images. Now the next question, comment on the subject of death discussed in the concluding lines of the poem. So death is the end of life, and we know that death is often an enemy to people. So death is the theme of the poem. Maybe it's a celebration of old age also. Old age is the end of life. You are ready to die anytime. So death is again a theme of life here, and it is described in a very, very good way. Say, for example, to the old people, death is not an enemy. Death is not something they are afraid of. They are ready to die, and hence it is described as dear painless death. So they have no pain at all. When they die without any pain, totally relaxed and cool. So death is a friend to them. Death is a companion to them. Death is like a lover or a gentleman caller, and it is of course described very, very beautifully. And we have, of course, the comparison of death as when old folks laugh, they consider the promise of dear painless death. What is the promise of death? The promise of death is that we believe that, yeah, after death we have life again. Life is not ending with death. Death is not the end of life. There is life after death. So that is the promise of death. And old people have a lot of joy or affection for death, and now they are content with this life. Now they need a different life, and that life is after. There is going to be a rebirth, right? And that belief in rebirth, that hope for rebirth, is making them death a friend, and it is dear painless death. Now next question: why did the poet call death dear and painless? So these people are eagerly waiting for death, and now they have forgiven all the bad experiences and the painful experience, and forgiven everybody and everything, and they are, of course, considering death as a friend. They are waiting for death to come, and they know that even after death there is life. So death is painless, no pain. You are ready to have it. So it is described as dear and painless. Compare and contrast the youth and old age of the folks discussed in the poem. Compare and contrast the youth and old age of the folks as discussed in the poem. Do you think old age has its advantages? Discussed with reference to the poem. Yes, of course, the youth and old age of the folks discussed. See, as we are youth, or we are young, we are always engaged, very busy, hardworking. We have a lot of purposes, we have a lot of ambitions. We need to achieve a lot. We need to settle in our life. We need to have, of course, a job, an income, get married, have kids, bring up the kids. Lot of responsibilities, right? Lot of responsibilities, and we are often tensed and worried. We don't know what's going to happen in life. Maybe we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. There are a lot of problems around us, and all these problems affect us. So the old folks, when they were young, they were upset and worried about life. They couldn't be relaxed. Maybe sometimes they were, of course, relaxed, but that's based on your health, like your mental and physical health. Of course, you could be relaxed or not. But often we have a lot of anxiety about life, tension, worry about life. So, but these same old people, when they were young, were busy, hardworking, worried, tensed, and stressed, and all right. So, but old age, they live their life 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, 100 years plus. All right. Cool and relaxed. I live my life the way it happened to me. I have a lot of emotions and experiences and success and failure. I lost a lot of things. Sometimes I succeeded in all that. I achieved a lot. I gained a lot, and now, yes, I'm satisfied and happy. I lived my life. This is more than enough. Everything is over, and now I'm ready to leave this world. I'm happy to go away from here. Okay, so we do think old age has its, yes, it has a lot of advantages, because you don't have to worry, you don't have to bother about tomorrow, next day. You are resting. Okay, it's evening of life, you are just resting. Often you sleep a lot, and you will, of course, have a lot of companion people just listening to you, a lot of people visiting you, grandkids, grandchildren, and everybody, when they come, they bring a lot of gift and all. Although you don't want all that, it's all this is right. So old age is, in fact, nobody hates old people. Everybody loves old people. Old people are respected. We know that they did their tasks. They just participated in the race of life very effectively, and they are often saluted, right? They are often respected, and yes, it is right. It has its own advantages, wonderful advantages, right? Because old age helps you to just ponder over what happened, and you can evaluate your life. So it's, in fact, it has a lot of advantages. Now discuss laughter as a metaphor of freedom. Definitely laughter is a metaphor of freedom, because laughter, you don't know what you are doing when you laugh. You only laugh. But all the other occasion, even when you look at somebody, even when you see somebody, you see that person coming from far away, and you will decide whether you should just go straight forward and look at him, maybe shake hands with him. But you laugh, okay, you laugh freely. You don't bother whether your body move, whether your tummy move. Totally relaxed. And laughter is totally relaxed. You don't worry about the voice or the body movement, the movement of your skin or your flesh, right? You don't worry whether saliva comes out or it overflows, right? Okay, so it's a metaphor of freedom. Sure, freedom, total freedom. So old age, you are free, and you don't care for anything. You have nothing is restraining you, nothing is controlling you, and the entire independent. You're totally independent. You're totally free, and that freedom is just very effectively and successfully mentioned in laughter. That's the reason why Maya Angelou says that when old people laugh, when old folks laugh, they free the world. They free the world, really. So, yeah, and we know that psychologists also say that laughter is medicine, because it relaxes you, it cools you down. Now we come to the next question. Answer the following questions in not more than 300 words each. Old folks is a celebration of old age. Consider how the poet uses imagery as diction and diction to convey this. Okay, so throughout the poem, from the beginning till the end, we have a lot of wonderful images, like and all these images of the tambourine, the jiggling of the tambourines. Then again, the very picture of the laughter of old people, the movement of the skin, the wrinkling of the skin, and the picture again of the image of the container or flow of a bucket or a mug, and again the incessant laughter, continuous laughter is just like the overflowing of a container. And again there are movements, slow movements, and the image of saliva shining on the corners. Then of course their laps filled with a lot of memories, and each memory is an image. So in fact this is a wonderful poem, a lot of beautiful images, and diction again, simple diction, okay, straightforward, familiar words we have, and it is of course a celebration of old age. And that is the reason why it is said that they consider the promise of dear painless death. Death is dear and it is painless, and they can forgive life for what it was to them. Now we come to the next question. Would you agree that laughter is a dynamic mechanism or a survival apparatus adopted by the old folks? It is in fact a dynamic mechanism, alright. Yeah, it is never a survival apparatus adopted by the old folks, right? It is a dynamic mechanism, right? So you live your life, and your life has come to an end, did everything, okay, from the morning of your life till the evening of your life. Evening of the life you have to rest, and you have rested. Now you have to go to have the final resting, and the final resting is death, and you are ready for it. So it is of course laughter, as you see in this poem. It is not a survival apparatus adopted by old folks, right? They don't consider old age as a survival. No, okay, it is not a survival, right? But it is just a dynamic mechanism. So your life, you lived your life all the way, and comes to an end, totally satisfied, no grudges, no regrets, satisfied. Whatever happened, okay, happened for the best. That is your attitude, and you are ready to die. And next, after this, of course, your life continues. life continues, and this is the end of this cycle of events. Now, after that, after this, of course, we have a rebirth or a different life, and that will also continue. Okay, so it is with a lot of positive feelings that old people live their life. And now we just come to the end of the poem. Wonderful poem by Maya Angelou. Let us just read the poem of at times and remember the very, very message that life, we have to look at life with positivity, and we should not be under any kind of tension or worry. With this, we end the discussion of this great poem, Old Folks Loves. Thanks a lot for listening. May God bless you all.